We'll be taking care of PV every day. Taking care of PV everywhere. We've been taking care of PV. It's all ours. Taking care of PV and investing in our town PV. Ooh, 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 ooh. We'll be taking care of PV.
Welcome to PV in Focus. This is our second season. We are really excited that you're joining us. Hopefully you were able to catch some of our different episodes in season one. We had a number of different individuals and departments that we showcased, and we're going to be doing the same thing this year. So today I'm really excited to have with us Fatima Fernandez, who is our town clerk with us today. And so we are going to be learning all about the clerk's office. And so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you today. So I always like to kick off with, how long have you been with Prescott Valley? And the town clerk's position is a very unique position. And so what was your journey to become a town clerk?
Well, Gilbert, my journey began in 2015 in the courts. I started as a court clerk here in our magistrate court. And 3 years later, there was an opportunity for that deputy clerk position, and I applied and became the deputy town clerk in 2018. Through that year, I learned a lot. The existing clerk then retired, and in 2019 and 2020 became the interim.
Those were tough years.
And that was a very tough year.
COVID.
Because of COVID, because of social distancing, still keeping up with public meetings. Something to note was that I was the interim clerk, the deputy town clerk, and I only had a record specialist. So there were only 2 staff members in my office during that time. So very tough years, but was resilient.
That's a lot. So, and we're going to dig into some of the specific things that you're responsible for, you and your team. But what does the clerk's office encompass? What are all the things that you kind of touch on and have responsibility for?
So a lot of people don't know that the role of the clerk is one of the oldest professions in local government. And it's evolved throughout time, but we do manage several things. Here for the town of Prescott Valley, we have 4 main core responsibilities, and those would be our elections, our business license program, our records management, and town council and open meeting law. Okay,
so you mentioned records, and that I know is a big part of your responsibility, you and your team, and you are really responsible for all town records. And so we produce a lot of records, I'm sure, in our local government. So what are the systems that you use to really kind of manage that volume of documents, and making sure that you're able to retrieve that whether a department needs it or the public needs it?
So records are very complex. Every staff member, every department on a daily basis creates records all the time.
So records could be emails, documents, reports.
Okay. Yes.
Anything that we're producing that gets saved into our systems.
Could be pretty much paper or electronic.
Okay.
And so within the last couple years, we have had an increase in public records requests. And to manage that, we do use a platform. We literally just implemented it last year, called Just FOIA. And within that platform, we keep track of all the submitted public records requests. And we gather the data, and that's the platform we use to produce those requests. We have received about a little bit over 1,100 requests for the entire year.
So that's 1,100 unique requests for documents. And a request could entail many documents, right? So it may be 1,100. So everyone that's kind of listening and watching us on this episode, So 1,100 different unique requests. And that includes both, so general town government as well as public safety as well, right?
Correct. So the platform is used by our police department and for town records, but ultimately overseen by my department. In the old days, we used to just receive about maybe like 10 records a month. And if you average 1,100 records a month, that's it's like 2 requests a day for 365 days. Sorry, I do want to point out, when people do submit requests, we want them to be as specific as possible. A lot of requests that we've been receiving are pretty much open-ended and general requests. And in order for us to avoid delays in responding to those requests, we need them to be narrowed down so that we could find that information as easy and faster as possible. Think about when submitting a request, I do look for time frames. We do look for specific topics, keywords, or specific people.
So I want to stress that the point here that we want to provide whatever records we have, right? So it's not a matter of that. It makes it much easier if a person has a particular subject or topic versus like I want every email that anyone has ever produced, because it's just a huge volume of documents. But if they're interested in a particular thing, you can go in and produce any record related to that item, and then make sure it's prepared for them to be able to review it, and if they have follow-up questions, then they can drill down deeper into that particular topic or another topic.
Correct. So basically, our goal is to be as transparent and responsive as possible. But when the request is not specific, then it's a little bit harder for us to process that, and then that's when you start encountering delays and
which can be frustrating on the person that's asking for the records, because they don't maybe understand how many records have to be. You have to go through every single document. So if there's thousands and thousands of documents in that request, that could take a long time to read all of that.
Correct. So something important to remember is that yes, every record is reviewed individually, and so when you have 20,000 records to review, then it's going to take quite some time for us to release those records.
So records is one big area, but another big part of your job responsibilities is you assist the council and all of us with the preparation of council meetings and the agenda. Talk to us about what goes into that, because we have meetings almost every week, and so there's a lot that goes into preparing for each council meeting. So what are kind of the things that you're involved with on that front?
Yes, so we do prepare the agendas and the packets for the council meetings. It requires a lot of follow-up and a lot of patience and trying to collect and
patience,
gather that
because
data.
there's a lot of hands involved in it,
There's a
right?
lot of
So every
hands
department may be, different departments are touching the agenda,
Yes.
staff reports.
Correct, and that we do have a review process as well, and sometimes that can take a little bit of a long time. And so basically we follow up with departments and try to, push them to work on their staff reports. But yes, we ultimately at the end, we publish the agenda. It's visible to the public. We do have a platform that helps us, that's interactive. Throughout the meeting, there's like timestamps of where the agenda item was talked about, so that citizens watching the meeting after the fact, if they're only interested in seeing that one line item, they can click on it.
Part of transparency. So again, if someone's interested in a particular topic, they don't have to sit through the whole thing. They can just go to that particular thing. But you also there's many different state laws and rules and regulations related to posting of meetings. So tell us a little bit about that. It's got to be done.
24 hours before the actual meeting.
Okay.
So we do our best to publish way in
Now,
advance.
we usually do almost a week in advance.
Yes, we do a week in advance to give our residents and the council enough time to review the agenda over the weekend. Sometimes our agendas tend to be lengthy, so there's a lot of reading. But yes, the requirement by law, it's only 24 hours prior to the meeting. And so we've always try to beat that goal and
sometimes
do it a couple
there
days.
may be an item that gets held up. It just, we're waiting on someone else outside of the organization, and so the agenda may come out on Saturday or even Monday sometimes, but that's pretty rare.
I tend not to amend agendas, and yes, when there is a delay because we're waiting on somebody, things do happen, then we do end up publishing over the weekend or on a Monday, but it's rare that we publish 24 hours before the meeting.
So you had also mentioned elections, and I know, so we're now entering into the next election cycle, and there's a lot that goes into that from your position. So talk to us, what role do you play with elections? And then, how many council seats are open in this next election cycle?
My role with elections is creating an elections calendar, trying to keep up with dates and changes from the legislature. We do have an election coming up next year in August. That date may change depending on.
Again, that date
Yes.
That date may change because the legislature would take some legislative
Correct.
action to change
Correct, to allow more time for recounts. And so we're going to navigate through those changes when they come. But as of today, the election is August 4th. And we do have, we're going to have 3 ballot questions for our town council positions. One is the mayoral election, and then we have 2 vacancies for a 4-year term for a council member. And we have 1 position to fulfill a remainder of a term, and that's a 2-year council member position. I also wanted to point out that's important for people to vote. We had a presentation recently about statistics where citizens tend not to participate if it's not a presidential election, and that is so true. Wanted to let our citizens know that whether they participate or not, the town is still paying for the ballot. So it is important for them to cast their ballot because we don't get charged for what we use. We get charged for every single registered voter in the town.
Well, and I always like to think of it's everyone's local government. Everyone that lives here and you're a registered voter, we want you participating. We want you engaged in that process because this is it's everyone's community.
Correct.
And we want to have that ownership feeling by everyone in the town.
So something I'm very proud of is having worked with the county to bring in an early voting site to Prescott Valley. It's the 3rd early voting site throughout Yavapai County. If you wanted to vote in person, early in person in Yavapai County, the other 2 locations are in Cottonwood and Prescott. So
and I know we take very seriously, you work, so your office is not directly running the election. We contract with the county to do that. And I know the county works very hard to make sure they have safe and secure elections and put a lot of effort into tracking ballots and making sure that people that are registered to vote are the ones that are voting.
Correct. If the town of Prescott Valley ever decided to hold its own elections without the assistance of the county, you're talking about buying equipment, training poll workers, finding polling places.
For everyone listening, we're not talking about doing our own.
We're not doing that.
The county,
it's too expensive.
Yeah, the county's set up and has the equipment and the staffing to assist us. And the training.
And what's really cool about the intergovernmental agreement, the IGA that we have with them, is that it's a shared cost within Yavapai County. Yeah. So everybody who participates in it pays a shared cost.
Great. What do you love about your position as the town clerk? So for everyone that's listening, what are the things, when you get up in the morning, what are you excited about when you come in?
Well, I just love what I do. It's, like I said, I've been here for 10 years. I actually grew up in this community. I've been here since middle school, high school, did Yavapai College, did my bachelor's online at NAU. And, this community has watched me grow, and I've grown with it. So, I just love what I do and what I do for my community.
Well, and I love stories like that of someone that, has grown up in this community, is embedded and is part of the DNA of this community. And, you went to public schools here, and being able to stay in the community, raise a family, and to be in a position that is so important for the overall community and making sure that we are doing things by the book, and that, again, we're creating that transparency and access to their local government, and you play a huge role in that.
Correct. That is one of my also main priorities. I do bring in transparency to our citizens, and that is one of my goals, to continue that.
Are there any other goals or initiatives that you have for the future? What are some of the other things that there's a lot of things that are mandated by the state, but I know that you and your team have been working to, improve efficiencies, provide greater access with more documents to the public. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my goal for next year would be to bring in more self-service options and public transparency, as in portals. If we can share whatever database we have with the citizens, so that they can go and do their own research, and perhaps.
So being like late at night, if I can't sleep and I wanted to look something up, I might be able to go in eventually. Yes. and do, maybe it's development agreements or all the ordinances or,
resolutions,
things that should be accessible to anyone, and you don't have to physically come down and do a request. You can just get it all through the website.
Correct. Now, we are working with departments, and we do have a platform. It's called Laserfish, and we're trying to revamp that so that is an option for our citizens.
Great. Tell us, those that are listening or watching us, what are ways that people can connect with your office? So if someone is interested in a public record or information about elections, how do they get a hold of you?
So we do have a webpage. If you go on our regular town page, click on departments, find the town clerk's office, you'll find all the services that we provide, and our email address is also listed. It's clerk@prescottvalley-ac.gov. You can also call us. It's 928-759-3135. That's our extension. Or you can email us, call us, visit us. We're on the second floor here of the Civic Center, right next to the building permits department.
Thank you, Fatima, for sharing some great information about our town clerk's office and all the exciting things that you're engaged with and working on. And we want to thank all of our listeners for this kickoff to season 2, those that are listening online or through YouTube. Appreciate you being a part of us sharing information about the town. And we look forward to our future episodes and hope you have a great day. Thank you.
We'll be taking care of PV.